All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. We are live in the Hotbox studio with the two coolest people in the world. We got Jess Weber right here.
What's up?
And Cody the Oracle Como.
How you guys doing?
And come on, man. You got to be more excited about that.
That is very, very excited. How are you guys doing?
Okay, awesome. So today we're going to talk about a really interesting subject. A New York Times video actually just came out about Andrew Yang, talking about who's this big internet superstar Andrew Yang. And we want to analyze this a little bit because what's interesting is, yes, I understand you have to truncate certain arguments and you have to simplify things as a media person to fit them into these 2 or 3 minute videos that we make about somebody. But I really think that the New York Times video did not do Andrew Yang a service because it basically said, here's an Asian guy that wants to give everybody $1,000 a month, and it would cost $23 trillion. And they basically made him sound like he was a giver away in chief, bigger than Bernie Sanders. And I really don't think that's a fair representation, as much as I do have my own questions about whether or not UBI could work in the exact theory that he thought it might work. And some of his ideas are really a brave new world, new territory. There are precedents for them. We did make the video, The Conservative Case for the Universal Basic Income, based upon theories of Milton Friedman and successes that the Alaska oil pipeline has had with their smaller version of it. But anyway, the New York Times basically represented him as a bigger giveaway than even Bernie Sanders, which I think was a disservice. I'm curious what you think, Jess. Do you think Andrew Yang is just a socialist? How would you describe him? And now that you've actually had a chance to interview the guy, interface with him, and interface with the Yang gang, all of his followers.
You know what? I feel with Andrew Yang, I think he's like in the middle. I don't really think he's a Democrat. I think he technically should be running as an independent or even, I don't know. I want to say I really think he's running at the wrong time, honestly. And with his whole UBI thing, I mean, I think it's great to get the free $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
But what is that going to do to America? And who's going to pay for it?
Well, see,
I know he has all these other...
Now, this is what's so interesting, though, is because I said in my video as well, The Conservative Case for the Freedom Dividend, that I actually think he's kind of just a closet Republican that doesn't like how uncool it is to be a Republican.
Hey, man, he wants to build the moat, man. Yeah. That's what I'm about. Build the moat, man.
That's true. His immigration policies include basically a moat on the southern border, reinforcing the Rio Grande, we call it. But we call it the moat. But anyway, this is what's interesting about UBI is basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cody, but you can be receiving up to $1,600, $3,200, $3,000 worth of social services from the U.S. government in between WICs, food stamps, Section 8 housing, so on and so forth. Right. He's suggesting that you be given the opportunity to decide, do you want $1,000 cash or do you want to keep receiving all of these benefits in their benefit form, or would you just like the cash so you can do it yourself?
He's offering both?
No. He's offering in lieu of...
Well, I know. Yeah, either or.
Yeah, it's either or. And what's interesting is he would pay for it through a value-added tax, a VAT tax that is very common throughout Europe, right? Yeah. And this is what's crazy, is as socialist as it sounds, and I've studied the crap out of this, the math actually adds up. And it would actually alleviate more poverty faster and generate more business from the hardest hit communities by just giving them straight cash. And the theory is that it would go something like this. The Alaskan pipeline was built in the late 60s, early 70s. And basically they had a Republican governor who said, okay, well, I'm either going to have to create a bureaucracy to manage all the taxation and the oil revenues from this big fat pipeline that we got going on, which is just going to be this big behemoth and increase the size of government. Right. Or I could just take all these tax dollars from this newfound revenue stream and just disperse it amongst the 600,000 citizens that we have. And he allowed the state to vote on it. And of course they said, we'd rather get $2,000 free dollars a year. Depending on what the tax revenue is, they get about $2,000 a year. And what's crazy is it doesn't lead to widespread drug abuse. It doesn't lead to widespread unemployment. In fact, it didn't do anything other than, well, the people trying to make off payments got out of debt faster.
Right.
The people that had hobbies invested in those more. And people just had an extra $2,000. So in theory, this is actually an old idea Milton Friedman had suggested when mechanization first started getting big in the 60s. And that idea, as socialist as it sounds, actually could take off. And the strange thing is, since it makes so much fiscal sense, and it doesn't seem to punish somebody, I don't know. It surprises me. I actually am surprised the Republicans haven't embraced this.
That's what I'm saying. I was kind of hoping maybe Trump will put it in place, you know? I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And if it didn't cripple America or figure out another way to pay for it or get rid of some other tax and replace it with this.
Yeah, because think about it. If an Amazon robot wipes out 500 jobs in a town, retail town, that robot is doing the work of a bunch of people but not generating any kind of tax revenue. So it's okay if there's a value-added tax on that robot so that the people, if you think about it just in pure theory, like regardless of, male, female, Republican, Democrat, if you think about it, wouldn't we all just be better off if robots could do the jobs that forced us to work beyond what is considered healthy for the average human? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if robots got so good in our society that we actually all got some sort of dividend, as long as nobody was getting screwed and was not unethical, I think that's actually just a better life.
Yeah.
Well, if only the robots would be so kind as to just do all of our work for us for eternity and never cause any problems.
So my mind is blown. Like, my mind is blown about Andrew Yang for two things. I can't believe, despite the prolific writings of Milton Friedman on this, he called it the negative income tax, and other economists, why Republicans, especially populist ones like Donald Trump, why this hasn't become a big thing on the Republican side, and also why Democrats aren't loving this guy. He's literally saying, we're going to secure the bag and give $1,000 to every single person out there. I mean, this is the epitome of Benjamin Franklin's warning that we can vote ourselves money. You'd think that the Democrats, who literally just proposed, here in California, we got a huge problem. They just proposed 1,000 appropriations bills in our California State Senate. There's usually an average between 250 and 500. But now that there are no Republicans to fight the fiscal fight anymore, they're literally tripping over themselves to see how they can tax us Californians and then wondering why 50,000 residents a month are hemorrhaging out of our state and going to the lower taxation states, okay? So you'd think that Democrats, who are huge tax and spend gurus, would be all about the free giveaway. What was your impression? You were at the rally. Like, why is he not a bigger deal?
I really think because where did he come from? I think if they were to get behind him, I don't think they can be able to control him at all. I don't think he'd be, a Biden or a Bernie or even a Hillary. I think he's really level-headed. I think he's a good guy. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I just wish he was, go in 2028 or something or 2032. Go run it another time, but not now.
Why do you think it's a bad time for him now?
Because no one knows him, and they're not going to get behind him. For sure. I mean, you got Biden in right now, and you got Bernie in right now. They got huge fan base.
Okay.
He might have great policies. It doesn't matter. He's got no spunk,
Do you think there's anything that he could do? Because what's crazy is,
if he started attacking people.
Yeah, but Hillary Clinton had no spunk,
and then she lost.
She was anti-spunk.
She lost, and she
but
cheated.
She won the primary.
She cheated the primary.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's get that straight.
Okay,
right.
Well,
that's why ultimately you have to think, like, even let's say somehow the miracle happens, and for whatever reason, millions of people flood the streets to vote for Andrew Yang. They probably would still say, yeah, you know what, but we'd rather have Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders or Kamala Harris.
Because I don't think they can control him. I don't think he's going to be a puppet for the establishment at all.
He doesn't speak their language at all. He doesn't. He stays away from the pointless stuff.
He seems like a regular business guy that just says, "Listen, if we do this, I'll give everybody money. We'll take it from here." He seems pretty smart about everything.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
he dodged my difficult question. Did he dodge any of yours?
I don't think so. I don't think.
What'd you ask him?
You know what? I don't know because I kept thinking, how am I going to prank this guy? What can I say ridiculously? You know, just
For those of you that are just tuning in, we actually met Jess Weber at the Andrew Yang rally in Los Angeles, and he was dressed as a Fox News host. This guy is real fake news. He actually dresses at Republican rallies as a CNN anchor and asks them a bunch of hyper-liberal questions to see if they'll say something stupid. And then he also goes to very liberal rallies dressed as a completely believable Fox News anchor, and then gets these interviews with these presidential candidates and these celebrities, asking them all kinds of crazy questions like, what do you think about Obama's head being etched, you know, in Mount Rushmore, and so on and so forth. And it drives people wild, and he gets the best impressions out there. But he also has a chance to actually ask them legit questions, and the people are breathing down your neck, the campaign managers are, when they're looking at you.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? Last night I was with Tulsi Gabbard. Was that her name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Her people were staring at me like, what is he saying? And even the same people at Andrew Yang's rally, they were just staring at me, trying to see what I'm trying to say, if I'm going to do something bad or whatever. I don't know what they're listening for, but that kind of holds me back in a way where I don't fully, completely commit to my prank that I want to do. So I end up asking like real questions, and then once we get friendly, I'll ask the stupid questions, and then usually I run out of time because they got to get going.
Bummer, bummer.
And that's what happened last night, because I started talking to Tulsi about her hair and how, where did that gray streak come from? You know, is it a clip-on or whatever? Just stupid stuff.
Did you get anything crazy in on Andrew Yang or his fans? Because I got to tell you, you completely sold about 20 or 30 of them when I saw you behind me, and you faked that you were talking into your earpiece and saying, yeah, I'll ask him that question. And no joke, like, they were completely sold that you were the real deal.
Well, I was asking them, you know, I told them we're live streaming around the world. And, you know, I'm asking them about the $1,000, what they would do with it. You know, some people are saying, like, oh, I would spend it on, was it
cryptocurrency?
Yeah. Or, you know, drugs or alcohol or whatever, a good time. Or even some people were, you know, start my own business, which I would do, you know, invest in my own business or whatever, which is probably the way I think most people would go. But I also think it would increase a lot of drugs.
You think so?
Well, I mean, I think more people on the streets, you know, are begging for money. They just want that hit of heroin, I would think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I had some friends. If you gave them $1,000 a month when they were like 20 years old out of school,
yeah,
with like a place to stay, they would have probably overdosed in like 8 months.
Yeah, I think there'd be more death if everyone just started getting $1,000 and they're homeless. Well, I don't think they would, because a lot of these homeless people, they can get off the street very easily with our government, and we can help them out. Yeah. But they choose to sleep. I talk to homeless people all the time. Well, not all the time, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But they say, you know, they don't want to be part of society.
Well, there's a psychology beyond their economic situation.
They're mentally.
Yeah. That oftentimes people that are just observers saying, "Oh, we need to give to the homeless," don't realize that oftentimes it's not a lack of beds or of monetary, accessibility. It's a much more multifaceted problem.
Right.
But then you also wonder, though, if everyone gives them $1,000 a month, what are the bad habits people might give up with that extra bit of money? I'm trying to think if there's any that come to my top. See, I feel like it would exasperate most. I don't feel like I would gamble less if I got $1,000 a month than I was addicted to gambling.
The premise of this video is, do we think he's a socialist?
Well, there's got to be something, right?
And
I mean, that's part socialist, isn't it? Giving everyone $1,000. Oh, he does want universal health care.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing, though, is that all of this stuff has a very specific way of getting paid for that is, to me, socialism is, let's face it, based upon a hatred of the rich, and I feel he does not have that.
No, I don't think so either.
And that's what George Orwell wrote about. He literally wrote about On Road to Catalonia, I can't remember the name of the book, but he was speaking about British socialists, which I know are technically different than American socialists. But at the end of the day, he said what he noticed about his socialist comrades was more a common hatred for capitalists and wealth than a love for the poor man and his well-being, right? Of course, I'm truncating that. So I have to tell you, I don't think he is. And I think he's a closet Republican that, just like you say...
He's down the middle.
Yeah, but not even down the middle. Actually, I think a lot of his policies are a lot more conservative and or just like people say socially liberal just because he's not like, you know, anti-gay or something like that. But the truth is, I think he just doesn't care about a lot of the social issues and then really wants to prep society for a massive economic change. But there's no way he could run on the Republican ticket because Trump would absolutely just trounce him.
Right. These presidents, they all talk and they don't do anything. And Obama did a lot of that, and before the other presidents did that.
Or they don't do a lot of what they say they're going to do, and then they screw up everything they didn't say they were going to screw up.
Well, I guess an easy way to put that also, if I just Control F for all, there's 7 results. So he wants early childhood education for all. He wants, I believe, health.
That's a Trump policy, isn't it?
Medicare for all, free marriage counseling for all, free financial counseling for all, make community college affordable for all, and that is all of the for alls.
Okay. So I guess, hey, we'll end this one here because I want to get on to talking with Jess about his freaking comedy and how awesome it is. But I did feel necessary to address the question because in all of our groups and all of our circles, we're some of the first people that have actually talked about and or addressed the whole Andrew Yang phenomenon. And his piece of the pie is growing. How do you put Andrew Yang into the pre-existing understandable labels? And to a certain extent, I don't think you can. And I, for one, would say I reject the term, at least for Andrew Yang of Socialist. What would you say, Cody?
No, I mean, he called himself a capitalist. I'll give him that. He can call himself whatever he wants, right?
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with both you guys, but I also think he's running at the wrong time. I think he should wait probably 8 or 16 more years and run Republican.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Hey, well, like, subscribe, share this video. This is Problem Solver Politics. We'll see you in a bit.